Center and I'm Maria Shakil. The security crisis continues in Jammu and Kashmir with the targeted killing of those leading the post-abrogation campaign to deliver normalcy to the Kashmir Valley. 8 murders have rocked the valley in the last 25 days. The latest being a bank manager named Vijay Kumar who hailed from Rajasthan. He was murdered by terrorists in Kulgam at his place of work. This gruesome crime was caught on camera and you can see how the terrorist just walked in, pointed a gun at Vijay and killed him on the spot. Vijay became a married man just 45 days back. Just a few weeks back, this family was celebrating this happy occasion. This comes just days after Rajni Bala, a teacher serving in Kulgam, was executed by terrorists. This comes after Amreen Bhatt, a TV artist and social media star, was executed in Budgam. This comes after Rahul Bhatt, a Kashmiri Pandit and government employee, was dragged out of a Tehsildar's office in Budgam and executed in broad daylight. This comes after Saifullah Qadri, a constable in the Jammu and Kashmir police, was murdered while dropping a 7-year-old daughter for coaching classes. She was injured while she clung to her father, who protected her from gunfire. Teachers, artists, government employees, police officers, working professionals, both Hindus and Muslims, are on the hit list as part of a terror campaign against the integration drive from the centre. The abrogation of Article 370 was driven by the crackdown on terror, with the agenda to open the Kashmir Valley for the rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pandits, Hindu government employees and working professionals to kickstart the Vikas drive. Not only are they the victims of targeted killings, but so are the Muslims of the valley who want to live and prosper without the fear of terror and separatists and be a part of the India growth story. This has spread fear across the Kashmir Valley. Non-locals and Hindu residents are being driven to flee Kashmir, while Hindu government employees are on the streets demanding immediate relocation till the security situation improves. The Jammu and Kashmir administration has ordered the relocation of 4,000 government employees of the Kashmiri Pandit community to secure sites. The state administration aims to complete this process by June 6th. These employees are also being drawn out of the far-flung areas of the valley where the security challenge remains high. The centre says the crackdown in the Kashmir Valley has made the terrorists desperate, which is why they are targeting civilians, appealing to residents in the valley that terror is on its last leg. Home Minister Amit Shah will chair a critical security review on Friday with top officials of the civilian and security establishment. The rise in civilian killings also comes ahead of the crucial Amarnath Yatra, which will commence on the 30th of June, where the state administration expects 8 lakh Hindu pilgrims over 43 days. What we are seeing is the rise in hybrid terror, where these murders are not being conducted by hardened terrorists, but local armed with handguns who commit the crime just for some money. The network is heavily entrenched, where anyone on the street could be a killer. The government is in a catch-22 situation. It is struggling to put an end to these targeted killings, but transferring out Hindu government employees will defeat the very purpose of the abrogation of Article 370. In this situation, is the government seeing the beginning of another exodus? Before we get the guests, here's a look at how fear has gripped the valley.
The brazenness is writ large. A terrorist casually walks into a bank in broad daylight in Kulgam in South Kashmir. He checks to see if anyone is watching him and then fires 2 rounds on one of the employees. Vijay Kumar became the latest victim of the continuous targeted killings in Kashmir.
Vijay Kumar in question has been in the valley since last 3 years. He has been posted thrice. The first posting he had was in an area called Pulao in Kulgam. Then briefly he went to a place called Larno, which is in Kokarnag, again South Kashmir. And this was in fact the third posting. He had been in the valley since last 3 years. And in fact, in this particular branch, he was posted some 5 days back.
Vijay Kumar hailed from Hanumangarh in Rajasthan. He had come to Kulgam just 4 days back and had gotten married just 45 days ago. He is the third Hindu minority in the valley to be killed in the last 3 weeks. Government employee Rahul Bhatt was gunned down inside his office in Budgam on May 12. On May 31, Rajni Bala, a teacher, was shot dead at her school in Kulgam. And now it's Vijay Kumar. Make no mistake, these are not random killings. Rahul, Rajni and Vijay were targeted because they were Hindu.
पिछले 25 दिनों से कश्मीरी पंडित सड़कों पे चिल्ला रहे हैं, चीख रहे हैं कि हमें रिलोकेट करिए और जितनी भी माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी के लोग हैं वहाँ कश्मीर में उनको रिलोकेट करिए जम्मू में और जम्मू के बाहर। लेकिन सुना नहीं जा रहा है हमारे चीख को, हमारे पुकारों को, हमारे चिल्लाने को, और टाइम जाया किया जा रहा है।
Jammu and Kashmir LG has ordered that 4,000 employees of the Kashmiri Pandit community working across the valley under the Prime Minister Rehabilitation Package be shifted to secure locations by June 6. But the fear that Hindu minorities are living with in the valley is hard to assuage. Some are already leaving. Kashmiri Pandit and migrant workers' bodies say they have no other choice. They don't want to become another statistic in this valley of death. This is a test of the Kashmir strategy of the BJP government and administration in the UT. This is the time to prove yourself. Will hard decisions be taken? Can the government wipe out terror from Kashmir once and for all?
Disturbing news coming in from the Kashmir Valley. 2 Hindu migrant workers shot at by terrorists in the Budgam district of Jammu and Kashmir. They were working at a brick kiln. Fortunately, though, both are stable. Mufti Isla is joining me on the phone line. Mufti, go ahead. Mufti, go ahead, give us the details.
Well, there's this place called Magripura, which is in Budgam district. It is on the borderline of Pulwama and Budgam. We're picking up that 2 laborers in a brick kiln, they were shot at, and one got an injury in his shoulder, another one in his hand. They were taken to the hospital in Chhatragam area to begin with, and possibly they will now be shifted to Srinagar because that's where specialized treatment would be given to them. But we believe that one of them is slightly critical and the other one is stable. But again, this was an attack on a brick kiln. We've seen in the past that, non-locals have been targeted, the Kashmiri Pandits, for that matter, even today. What happened in Kulgam, a bank manager from Rajasthan was targeted. And this is after a long time that we've seen now laborers who work in brick kilns have been targeted. There are, in fact, a number of brick kilns in both Budgam as well as Pulwama area. And it seems that militants have this time chosen a different kind of a target. But again, unarmed people who come here to labor,
Yes.
to work in brick kilns for a very paltry sum. And they're needlessly getting now targeted. And this is the pattern which we've seen now all of a sudden after, employees, now these people, poor people, getting targeted. As I said, 2 people injured, one of them slightly critical as we speak.
Mufti, thank you so much for joining us. Let me get the panelists on the discussion today. Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP. M.M. Khajuria is former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Amit Raina is the spokesperson, Roots in Kashmir. He's a Kashmiri activist. We are also being joined by Bitta Bhatt. He's the father of Rahul Bhatt. Ifra Jan is spokesperson of National Conference. Ahmad Ayaz is political analyst. Mr. Khajuria, this is mindless killing. This is endless almost. What explains these targeted killings?
You see, in fact, the terrorism in its second phase that is in 1918, date of 1989, started with targeted killings. Neelkant Ganju, session judge who sentenced Mukul Bhatt to death, he was the first to be shot in broad daylight. Then came the number of Tikalal Tipulu, who was an RSS leader. Then came the name of Premnath Bhatt, who was also a political leader. So this has been a continuing process because targeted killing is a low-cost operation. And secondly, you have the option to select your target from amongst a large number of people. And you have the option to mix with the crowd and get away.
Yes, but how can the security forces tackle this kind of hybrid terror? Because these are murders which are happening in broad daylight. Just look at that CCTV footage. Someone comes, gets inside a bank, shoots Vijay Kumar and gets out, perhaps mixes with the crowd, and we really do not know at least, as to who really he is. He may not be a hardened criminal. He may be a terrorist among the Aam Aadmi that is there now.
You see, basically, the mistake we have made is that we have done many things in a hurry. This situation should have been anticipated, and people should have been posted in areas which are secure, comparatively secure, and then there should be a large number of policemen, commandos in civis hunting for this kind of people.
Okay.
See, because this is a war. This is not a normal political agitation.
Yes.
And
we have heard from Vijay Kumar's father. Let me get another father here. And he is Bitta Bhatt. He is Rahul Bhatt's father. Bitta Bhatt, you lost your son. Today another father lost his son. This is happening every day. Are you getting the sense that the minorities aren't safe in the valley, or will you say that just about nobody is safe in the valley anymore?
इस वक्त कोई भी सेफ नहीं है. इस वक्त लग रहा है कि वहाँ ऐसे हालात बन रहे. अभी बड़गाम साइड से एक और लेबर्स का कत्ल किया गया. इस वक्त स्ट्रेटजी उन्होंने भी चेंज की है, तो वहाँ हर कोई हालात इस वक्त कोई सेफ नहीं लग रहा है. इस वक्त बेहतर है गवर्नमेंट के कि वो अपने हाथ में कंट्रोल ले ले और इस पर अमल करे.
आप अपना कैमरा अगर थोड़ा नीचे करेंगे तो आपकी शक्ल बेहतर दिखेगी हमारे दर्शकों को. बिट्टा भट्ट जी, यहाँ पर हम देख रहे हैं कि जो प्रोफेशनल्स हैं उनको टारगेट किया जा रहा है. जैसे आपके बेटे को टारगेट किया गया और उसी तरह से आज विजय कुमार को टारगेट किया गया. हमारे पास लॉन्ग लिस्ट है. जो लोग जम्मू एंड कश्मीर को बनाने गए थे, जो लोग वहाँ की स्टोरी का सक्सेस स्टोरी का पार्ट बनना चाह रहे थे, जैसे जो हम लोग देख रहे हैं बिहारी स्ट्रीट वेंडर, नॉन लोकल लेबरर्स, कश्मीरी पंडित जो शॉपकीपर थे, बालकृष्ण भट्ट साहब, समीर भट्ट जो इंडिपेंडेंट सरपंच थे, औरतों को भी टारगेट किया गया है, जैसे रजनी बाला हो गई, अमरीन हो गई. ये क्या है? ये प्रोफाइल किस तरह का आप देखते हैं? क्यों इन लोगों को ही टारगेट किया जा रहा है?
इस वक्त मुझे लग रहा है, जहां तक मुझे लग रहा है कि आईएसआई ने पीछे से ही इनका जो टास्क दिया हुआ है. और 15 से, मैं आपको एक अजीब बात बताऊंगा, 15 से 13 साल से ऊपर 18 साल के लड़कों को उन्होंने गन दे दी है. तो वो कत्ल करते हैं तो रिकॉर्ड ऑन रिकॉर्ड भी नहीं आ जाते हैं. दूसरी बात है, जब उनको कोई हाथ डालता है तो तब बोलते हैं कि ये ह्यूमन राइट्स की वायलेशन हो रही है 15 साल या 12 साल. ये प्रॉब्लम हो रही है. ये स्ट्रेटजी सारी चेंज हो गई है पीछे से इनकी, ताकि आम लोगों को हिरास किया जाता है, उनकी न्यूज बन जाती है, हमारे जाने जाते, हमारे खाने उजाड़ दिए जाते.
आम लोगों को मारा जा रहा है. आपके बेटे गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय थे, आज एक विजय कुमार बैंक में काम करते थे. अभी खबर आ रही है कि माइग्रेंट वर्कर्स जो वहां पे फैक्ट्री में काम करते थे उनको अटैक किया गया है, टारगेट किया जा रहा है. और ये लोग आते हैं बैंक में, जैसे जो फुटेज है वो बैंक में आता है टेररिस्ट, वो शूट करता है और निकल जाता है. ये ब्रॉड डे लाइट में मर्डर हो रहा है.
ब्रॉड डे लाइट में मैं बोलता हूँ जनाब अली, राहुल भट्ट थे, ऑफिस में बैठे हुए थे, टेबल पर बैठे हुए, चेयर पर बैठे हुए थे
जी।
उसको वहां आकर टारगेट किया गया, गोली मार दी गई अंदर, ऑफिस के अंदर। और उस वक्त ऑफिस भरा हुआ था लोगों से, मतलब स्टाफ जो था वो भरा हुआ था। बाद में वो गोली मारकर विदाउट मास्क थे वो, और उसके बाद वो वहां से चले गए। और किसी आदमी को वहां नहीं पूछा गया कि क्या बात हो रही है, क्या कैसे ये चले गए, ऐसे ही खुलापन है वहां। क्या बोल सकते, ये इंतहाई शर्म की बात।
तो इनसे ना
किसी को जिम्मेदार नहीं ठहराना, किसी को ऐसे ही चल बैल कहीं ऐसी बातें हो रही है, क्या बोलूं मैं अब।
नहीं तो आप किसको जिम्मेदार ठहराते हैं? आपको लगता है जो सरकार ने किया उनकी जो कोशिशें हैं वो कामयाब नहीं हो रही हैं?
नहीं, सरकार ने क्या किया? सरकार ने, मैं बोलता हूं, जो कम से कम बेसिक होना चाहिए, बेसिक वहां कम से कम लोगों को, जो तहसील में 30 आदमी थे उनसे तो इन्वेस्टिगेट करते मसला कि भाई कैसे अंदर आ गए। अब आप छोड़ोगे ऐसे ही, आप बोल रहे आज अभी वो बटवाले मारे गए, वो बेचारे लेबर्स मारे गए। किसी को ने बयान लेना है कम से कम कि क्या हुआ इस केस में। आज बैंक मैनेजर मारा गया विजय कुमार जी, उसकी बाकायदा फुटेज है, बस यही फुटेज तक ही रह जाता, आगे कोई कार्रवाई होती नहीं है।
तो
आगे कोई कार्रवाई होती नहीं है तो सारे छूट जाते हैं, वो उनको एनकरेज मिल जाती है, वो हिम्मत उनको मिल जाती है कि दूसरा कत्ल जाकर कर लेते हैं।
तो इनसे ना
अब देखिए, बड़गाम में उस वक्त उन्होंने बोला कि 2 लड़के, कोई जावेद लड़का है, वो कोई 15 दिन पहले इस पर हुआ था पेरोल से, उस पर पुलिस स्टेशन ने उनको ये नहीं किया था, वो बेल पर आउट हो गए तो बोलते थे वही इन्वॉल्व है। अच्छा, वो तब से घूम रहा है, उसने कोई वो कोई
बिल्कुल आपके सवाल मैं स्ट्रेट बीजेपी स्पोक्सपर्सन से पूछूंगी। तो इनसे ना, are you in a catch-22 situation? You need to deliver security, but moving Pandits outside the valley will certainly hurt your post-abrogation plans.
Maria, there is no doubt this is a very challenging phase in our fight against terror. In the last few years, while we have managed to eliminate 90% of the known terror outfits and terrorists, what we are witnessing right now is a new form of hybrid terror. It's, pretty much like the gun shootouts that you experience in the US, which is sporadic, where the newer culprits are new recruits who are very difficult to identify. But rest assured, the government is taking every measure. Tomorrow an important meeting is taking place between the Honorable Home Minister and Manoj Sinha ji and his team. And we will deal with the situation with an iron hand. It's a temporary phase. I understand in the last 2 years, 6,000 Kashmiris had been resettled. But those people, those elements who want Kashmir to remain reduced to a ghetto, and that includes certain complicit political parties like NCP, which turns
no, but it is also about confidence building measures. The question is, what exercise was undertaken by the administration of Jammu and Kashmir for confidence building measures? Because there are Kashmiri Pandits who are being targeted. There are progressive Muslims who are being targeted as well.
Not just Kashmiri Pandits, Ambreen Bhatt.
Yes.
Ambreen Bhatt. So, precisely, this is precisely what I'm saying. This is a new form of terror which, I agree that even though data becomes secondary at this point, if you look at it, in the last 26 days, 9 such terror incidents have taken place. While barring the ones which took place today, almost every terrorist has been neutralized.
Okay.
So, in the last, starting this year, let me just complete my point. Starting this year, some 36 civilians and security forces have been killed, but at the same time, 94 terrorists have been killed. So, I think in the next 2 days, you will see us dealing with the situation with an iron hand. This is a temporary phase, unfortunate as it may seem.
Is this turmoil before normalcy?
This is, Mr. Sinha, just do me one simple favor. In one word, tell me what is the problem of Kashmir. If just in one word, what as per you,
well, it is the jihadi mentality.
Is the problem? Pardon? I'm sorry.
It is the jihadi mindset.
Well, thank you very much. And if it is jihadi mindset,
it is the jihadi mindset. While we have eliminated, while we have.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, if you are saying it is jihadi mindset, it is jihad that is being raised in Kashmir against India, against.
And Amit Rana, while you speak, very depressing news coming in now from the valley. In fact, one of the migrant workers has succumbed to these injuries. He hailed from Bihar. He was shot by terrorists in Badgam. This is not ending. It seems like an endless cycle of violence that Kashmir is witnessing. Go ahead, Amit Raina.
Again, a very sad news, very, very sad news. I was given an impression that both are stable. Unfortunate. So if it is jihad that is the problem in Kashmir, why are you going and claiming that the problem of Kashmir is underdevelopment, problem of Kashmir is corruption, problem of Kashmir is dynastic politics? It was always jihad, whether it was 1989, 1990, 2006, 2010 or 2022. And if it was jihad, what have you done to address that concern? If 1990 there was an exodus of Kashmiri Pandits, why have you chosen Kashmiri Pandits again as lab rats and sent them back without addressing the concern of jihad? The package is called Prime Minister's Migrant Employment Package. Why is it called Migrant Employment Package? That means your government is not even willing to acknowledge that what is happening in Kashmir is jihad. And there are serious administrative lapses and failures. Who is going to pay for that? Why are heads not rolling? If Rahul Bhatt was killed on 12th of May and there was intelligence input and Jammu Kashmir police input that Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir are under threat, what took administration 22 days to issue an order to move them to district headquarters? And why should they wait till June 6th? Why can't a standing order be issued? A speaking order be issued telling every employee of the minority community to report to district headquarters? Had you done that on 12th May itself, we would have not lost Amreen. We would have not lost Rajni Bala. We would have not lost Vijay today. So there are serious administrative lapses. This cannot be pardoned. This cannot be pardoned. You can go and say anything about.
Tuhin, Amit Raina's questions are very valid here, because the killings have been happening for the last few weeks. What action has been taken to protect them? What is the administration doing there?
When the killings are of a standalone, when the killings are of a standalone or lone wolf nature, unfortunate as it is, it takes a little bit of time for the administration to get its act together. Each of the killings, I don't want to get into data at this point of time, because like I said, for 94 terrorists who have been neutralized between Jan 1 and June 2 this year, 34 civilians are meeting. But that is absolutely secondary. This is a new challenge. In the same way, and probably the nearest corollary or the nearest similarity which I could think of was the U.S. gunfires, which are very sporadic, which can happen in new locations.
I'm not too sure if that is the right analogy. I'm not too sure. Neither is Amit Raina going to agree with that.
This government has dealt with situations of this nature in the past with an iron hand. And
behind statistics, how many? Please,
let's have Amit Raina and Tuhin Sin on the screen now, please.
You tell me how many non-Hindus were killed last year? How many non-Hindus were killed in 2019? This all has started the moment you went into appeasement mode. For one, after application of Article 370,
I think
how everything was fine.
In the first place, please understand that the abrogation of Article 370.
You are making country pay for that.
Can I just respond to this?
Desired to win elections in Kashmir, to be called a party which has vote bank, which has voters from every community, and in spite of you knowing that you will never get votes from
I think we are the only party. I think we are the only, I can't speak on behalf of some of the local leaders, but I can tell you with responsibility over here that we are the only party which has openly said and which openly believes that Islamic radicalization is the biggest threat to the world. We are the only party which believes that the abrogation of Article 3... Please allow me, sir, if you ask me a question, I can understand your state of mind, but if you ask me a question, allow me to answer.
My people are getting killed. We are facing an 8th exodus. You think I'm here sitting for rhetoric?
What are you? What do you say? Your people? They are my people as well. I can understand your sentiments, but it is not about your people or my people.
मुझे बताइए आप इन आतंकवादियों के साथ आपका क्या लेना देना है? सज्जाद लोन के साथ लोन परिवार जिसने बंदूकें लाई कश्मीर।
मारिया, अगर आप जवाब चाहती हैं इनकी जज्बात को मैं समझ सकता हूँ। इनके जज्बात को मैं समझ सकता हूं, लेकिन अगर आप मेरा जवाब चाहती हैं तो मैं सारे जवाब का उत्तर दे रहा हूं, लेकिन 60 सेकंड जो है ना बिना अनइंटरप्टेड टाइम दीजिए। अगर ये पूछ रहे हैं कि महबूबा मुफ्ती से क्या रिश्ता था, उसका भी जवाब मैं दे रहा हूं।
Raina is expressing his concerns and he's pained because those
No,
visuals are disturbing.
For a government which went out of the way, it is our people. It is not
we
my
have just
people. It is
reported
our
that
people
a
who are getting
non-local
killed.
has been killed. This is not something that we will be, it's something that's extremely disturbing. There's something horribly going wrong there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for a government which went out of the way to, bring about changes which no other government could bring in the 70s, you can understand that, yes, it is a challenging
wasn't
phase
this
for
factored
us
in?
as well. So don't make it about our people. Don't make it about our people it's our people. At least we have never given Kashmir the stepmotherly treatment which some of the other governments have
Okay,
given.
Ahmad Ayaz, with children not being spared, I'm going to come back to both of you. I'm going to come back to both of you. Ahmad Ayaz, with children not being spared by terrorists, non-locals not being spared by terrorists, professionals not being spared by terrorists, just about anybody who's progressive and doesn't fit in their narrative not being spared by terrorists, isn't it high time that the narrative from the Gupkar gang, giving them cover fire finally comes to an end?
You see, indeed, Maria's situation is very bad. In the past, those situation was not normal, but we were seeing very isolated incidents, and now for past some time it's very unabated killing going on, creating threat all over, making all those Kashmiri Pandits who are working here, making them to come on the streets and protest and seek for their reallocation to the safe places. I mean, this gives us the sense of the total security situation in the Kashmir. And when there is a government at the helm of affairs, there are agencies. And I wonder, when somebody today was telling on a TV channel that this is a red wave has been discussed somewhere in the Pakistan, and it was president of the J&K BJP talking on a TV channel. But the point is, if this all input was there, then was it necessary to sacrifice all these people? Could there not be any anticipatory measures taken?
Okay,
Why it was to wait for all these people? Because it was Mr. Raina, the president of the Bharatiya Party, who said, Jammu and Kashmir, who said today on a TV channel that it was discussed some time back in the Pakistan that now we should change the strategy and go for some red wave sort of strategy.
If there was intelligence input, perhaps these lives would have been saved. And if the intelligence input had been worked upon.
Well, it depends on which cases you are saying, but broadly, I would like to reiterate over here that, if 94 terrorists have been killed in the last 5 months, I think intelligent inputs are being acted upon. This is a new form of terror. You wait for 2 days. Tomorrow, a very important meeting is taken, and we have a track record of delivering. This is a very temporary phase where our patience is being tested. There are people who want Kashmir to be reduced or remain reduced to a ghetto.
To get killed and then
those are the people who are absolutely distressed about the abrogation of Article 370 and new businesses which are coming over there. But each of these killings will be avenged, and we have a track record of delivering on the promises we make.
Amit Rana.
No, Mr. Sinha, I have a question here. Why do you meet tomorrow? No, Mr. Sinha, why do you meet tomorrow after these killings have taken place? If this was an input as said by the Mr. Rana, why you could not meet earlier and sort out and anticipate and work out a strategy? Why did you wait people to get killed?
So
and
the only reason I said
right
tomorrow,
now there's a news that another 2 laborers have been attacked.
So the only reason I said tomorrow is because these are administrative decisions and strategic decisions taken at the highest levels. So I have my limitations in committing something on Maria's show. And I hope Maria would agree with that.
It makes no difference to them. You need to stop the next batch that is getting ready to kill Kafirs and Hindus and everyone who believes in the concept of India. What work is being done on that? There is no reaction. Where is proactiveness on stopping the crimes that are happening in Kashmir? Where is the effect? Where is the effort to stop the radicalization that is happening in Kashmir? Why there is no work happening on that front?
You know, that aspect of radicalization.
You know, I mean, it's a little presumptuous to believe that no effort is happening in that direction.
What's happening in that direction is the question that Amit Raina is
not
asking.
A problem. No.
Because this is large-scale, massive radicalization that has happened.
Confined to Kashmir. And it has been happening from 80s. What I'm saying is that, you know, the things which are happening at a strategic level, I can't divulge right now. I would not be privy to that. What I can tell you right now is that 90% of the known terrorists have been eliminated in the last 5 years. This is a temporary challenge. We are committed to eliminating whatever jihadi mindset remains in Kashmir. Yes, but till that time, every killing that happens hurts me as much as it hurts you. It probably hurts me even more.
As part of conspiracy in Rahul Bhatt's murder, how many terrorists have you convicted for the last 32 years on the killing?
They've been neutralized.
You tell me one name you have convicted.
To the best of my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, and Maria may confirm it, Rahul Bhatt's killers were neutralized the very next day.
They were not.
And when it is
killers.
standalone killers, when these are
in this national channel, they were not his killers. It was a ploy by your administration to divert the heat. They were not his killers. And it is not about killers, as I said. There's an entire ecosystem available. What are you going to destroy to that ecosystem? There were people who helped those killers to reach Rahul Bhatt. A person cannot be killed without any
Rahul Bhatt's father wants to come in on this now. Bitta Bhatt, go ahead. बोलिए.
मैडम जी, कोई पकड़ा नहीं गया उसमें, या कोई किल हिट नहीं किया गया उसमें, कोई उसमें हिट नहीं किया गया. हेलो
जी
मैडम जी, कोई उसमें हिट नहीं किया गया.
तो जो उनके कातिल हैं वो अभी भी घूम रहे हैं, आपका ये कहना है?
बिल्कुल खुले घूम रहे हैं वो, कोई नहीं पकड़ा गया. इवन एलजी साहब जब यहाँ आए थे, उन्होंने भी बोला कि हमने शिनाख्त की हुई, कोई पकड़ा नहीं गया या कोई हिट नहीं किया गया.
तो बिट्टा भट्ट साहब, आपके लिए इंसाफ क्या होगा?
इंसाफ यही होनी चाहिए, सही इंक्वायरी होनी चाहिए और सही हद तक उनको पहुंचाना चाहिए, अपने उसमें पहुंचाना चाहिए. यही हमारी इल्तिजा है, यही हमारे साथ यही इंसाफ होगा अगर उनको आखिरी इसमें पहुंचाया जाए.
सरकार का ये कहना है कि ये आखिरी लड़ाई है अब जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में, और जो टेररिस्ट हैं अब उन लोगों के जब वो डेस्परेट हो रहे हैं क्योंकि सरकार मेजर्स ले रही है उनको टारगेट करने के लिए.
देखो जी, हमें 90 से यही हो गया, सुनते 90 से यही सुनते हो गया आज तक. आज कोई 32 साल हो गए, तो हर मरहले में हमने देखा कि वो फिर बनते हैं, फिर पनपते हैं, फिर मरते हैं, फिर पनपते हैं. तो ये लिहाजा ये बड़ा लंबी लड़ाई, आखिरी मरहला तो नहीं कह सकते हैं मेरे हिसाब से.
जी, तो आपको लगता है कि कल की सुबह क्या होगी किसी को कुछ नहीं पता, सेफ कौन है नहीं पता कश्मीर में?
बिल्कुल पता नहीं.
Bitta Bhatt, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Amit Raina, MM Khajuria, Tuhin Sinha and Ahmed Ayaz. Shifting focus to another story now. After the arrest of Delhi Minister Satyendra Jain, the face-off between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP is getting bigger. The Enforcement Directorate has slapped a money laundering case against Jain, accusing him of hawala transactions and the illegal purchase of land in and around Delhi. The Enforcement Directorate has been granted remand of the top Aam Aadmi Party leader till the 9th of June. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has called the charges fake and said he has personally reviewed the case. Now, he has gone a step ahead, saying the centre will next arrest Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, accusing the government of sabotaging the party's work in Delhi. Now the Enforcement Directorate has countered Kejriwal's defence of Satyendra Jain, saying he has been controlling the firms in question through his relatives. The land purchases do not match his disclosed income, even highlighting a High Court order from 2019 which found that Jain laundered over 16 crore. Jain has also been indicted by the Shunglu Commission on the charges of nepotism for appointing his daughter as an advisor, as well as charge sheeted by the CBI under the Prevention of Corruption Act. And when it comes to Sisodia, the Aam Aadmi Party, in fact, shared a copy of a letter from the anti-corruption branch sent to BJP leader over their complaints against Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain. Both BJP leaders have accused the two ministers of a 2,000 crore scam, alleging the construction of classrooms in the national capital at inflated costs. The ACB, in the letter dated May 23rd, asked Khurana and Neelkant Bakshi, the two BJP leaders who have approached the commission, to furnish documents regarding their allegations. So is Kejriwal's statement a preemptive political strike? Is there merit behind the charges levelled against both Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia, or is this pure political vendetta? Before we get the guess, here's how the story played out today.
मेरी प्रधानमंत्री जी से हाथ जोड़ के विनती है, ये एक एक करके जेल में डालने की बजाय आप आम आदमी पार्टी के हम सभी मंत्रियों और सभी एमएलएज को एक साथ जेल में डाल दीजिए।
Three days after his health minister Satyendra Jain was arrested, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal claimed to know who will be next in line.
कल उन्हीं सूत्रों से सूचना मिली है कि अगले कुछ दिनों में केंद्र सरकार मनीष सिसोदिया को भी गिरफ्तार करने जा रही है। पता चला है कि केंद्र सरकार ने सभी जांच एजेंसीज को मनीष सिसोदिया के खिलाफ कोई ना कोई फर्जी केस तैयार करने को कहा।
Satyendra Jain was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate on Monday in connection with alleged Hawala transactions related to a Kolkata-based company. Union Minister Smriti Irani asked whether Kejriwal could deny that his minister laundered money.
आपने तो कहा था देश को कि आपने सारे कागजात देख लिए, तो दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट के इस ऑर्डर पर आपने अब तक टिप्पणी क्यों नहीं की?
एक फर्जी केस में गिरफ्तार कर।
The Aam Aadmi Party has repeatedly called the ED's case against Jain pure political vendetta.
इतने सालों में चाहे सीबीआई हो, चाहे दिल्ली पुलिस हो, चाहे एंटी करप्शन ब्रांच हो, चाहे ईडी हो, केंद्र सरकार ने हर संभव कोशिश करी है आम आदमी पार्टी पे ऐसे फर्जी केस बनाने की।
The BJP says the agency is simply doing its job.
उनको एजेंसियों ने पूरा पर्याप्त मौका दिया कि आप अपनी बेगुनाही का कोई तो सबूत प्रस्तुत करो, और 7 साल में नहीं प्रस्तुत कर पाए।
According to the ED's attachment order, Jain transferred land owned by a shell company to 3 of his close relatives. But these individuals told the Enforcement Directorate that they were unaware of the land being transferred in their names. So is there a genuine case for a probe?
Joining me now, R.P. Singh, spokesperson of the BJP, Priyanka Kakkar, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Priyanka, for how long will the Aam Aadmi Party be defending Satyendra Jain? And why this fear-mongering regarding this fear-mongering regarding the preemptive arrest of Manish Sisodia? What is the case against him?
How can you term it fear-mongering, Ms. Shakil? We are saying arrest all of us and then let us continue with the work. That's what our stand is. There's no fear-mongering. We expect this from the BJP. Already 34, maybe perhaps more, 34 of our MLAs have been tried and acquitted with court rulings that go to say that it's a waste of time of the court. So there is no fear-mongering. It's just that we need to bring out certain facts, Ms. Shakil, that ED has a conviction rate of less than under 1%. I also want to remind the role of the investigation agencies in the near past. Hathras was an international conspiracy. Aryan Khan was an international conspiracy. Riya Chakravarti was an international conspiracy. So, and CBI has been called a cage parrot enough many times. So there is no fear-mongering. We welcome the investigation. We have no problem, no qualms. The only issue is that, they constantly file fake, fabricated cases against us. And then, what to say, muh ke bal khani padti hai 4-5 saal, but it also affects our reputation because we maintain our stand. We are a Kattar Imandar party.
R.P. Singh, a case of 8 years back surfaces. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, ma'am. A case which is 8 years back is resurfaced, and then the timing is something that the political opponents of yours are questioning.
See, it's so interesting, Ms. Shakil. If you will read the order of the court, it clearly says that the charges that have been on which the arrest was sought are the same charges on which the CBI has already
No, but the question is largely of what all has the Delhi High Court said. Every action of Mr. Satyendra Jain is under the scanner, and all this has to be questioned, and that is the reason why the point being made here, ma'am, is that how long can he continue in office? So let me ask the counter question to RB Singh. RB Singh, a case which is almost 7-8 years old is being brought on the surface, is the question that is being asked by your political opponents. Why?
The panelist on your channel has mentioned some Hindi Mohara. I also need to start with that. Shore Machaya Shore. If there is no case, go to court and have it quashed. Why seeking bail? It means there's a case. And secondly, the investigation takes time. Let's understand how the case erupted. Income tax raided some place in Calcutta. There were some companies, shell companies, some total shell companies in one office, out of which 16 companies have passed on taken money from Mr. Satyendra Jain and passed it on to some companies, other companies of Mr. Satyendra Jain. So ED is asking where did that money came from, and Mr. Satyendra Jain is not answering. Whether it was the party money, whether it was given by your party colleague, someone need to declare that. I mean, someone need to tell that where that money came from. And it's not a small amount, it's into some 16 odd crore rupees, and that too way back in 2013. So this money was a conduit, and then that money was circulated in which company? It's a company which has been led by or which has been owned by the family members of Mr. Satyendra Jain. Not only that, after that, he knew that certain properties in Delhi, certain land in Delhi will change the rules. As per the rule, there will be a lot of money in that property business. So he bought those land deals. He has bought those piece of land there. So all this he need to answer. If he's not cooperating with the ED, then ED need to take him to custody and then ask him the same questions, probably in a different way. But fact is, they are not still answering that where did that money came from. That money is there in the account. Mr. Kejriwal was an IRS officer. It was an IRS officer. He knows each and every subject. How money is transferred, how money is routed to Hawala route.
Okay.
Problem is not only Hawala. No, give me a second.
Yes.
Problem is not only Hawala. Issue is, उस हवाले में किस का हलवा है वो जानने की जरूरत है. Who all are involved? Mr. Jain is saying it's my money, it's his money. Then let him commit this in the court.
Is Manish Sisodia next, as Aam Aadmi Party is saying? Mr. Kejriwal did a press conference today saying that Manish Sisodia will be arrested next.
Yeah.
And in which case?
We don't know. Mr. Kejriwal knows it better than anyone else because he knows how his minister has been performing, what all shady deals his minister has done. It's not us. He knows better than any one of us that what sort of shady deals his minister has done, who are the other ministers, who can be the next minister. He needs to tell. We have been told that ACT has asked for certain papers from our party leader Harish Varan Neelkant Bakshi about Mr. Sisodia's building those contractual deals for making classrooms. Probably the cost of the building of classroom was probably 3 or 4 times more than what is there on record. So someone or what is there has to be as per the qualified norm.
Okay.
So someone needs to answer that also.
Priyanka, I have just enough time for your final words. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Keel. So, 2-3 things I'll mention.
Yes.
Whatever companies are mentioned in the order, if Mr. RP Singh would himself try and do a little research, Ministry of Corporate Affairs clearly show that Mr. Satyendra Jain is not part of these companies since 2013. The transaction.
We are talking about Manish Sisodia now. Since your party boss has said that he'll be arrested next, I'm just trying to understand his case. Yes, please go ahead. Talk about that.
Let me finish one.
Yes.
Okay. Talking about that, let me tell you this. This case, Mr. Manish Sisodia has filed a criminal defamation case in the High Court pending since 19, and Mr. Harish Khurana, Manoj Tiwari are on bail in that case. They leveled these allegations and we took them to court. One. Now, through another inquiry, they have made a complaint. Mr. RP Singh, I didn't interrupt you. Your facts were so incorrect. You were misinforming people. You don't know any data. You don't know any.
आप ही दूध के धुले हुए हैं. आप ही दूध के धुले हुए हैं. आप बता दीजिए वो जो पैसा है वो कहाँ से आया था? जो करोड़ों रुपए यहाँ से दिल्ली से ट्रांसफर हुआ, किसके आपका पैसा था क्या वो? बता दीजिए. कह दीजिए मेरा पैसा था, मैंने दी था जैन साहब को.
Is it possible? Read from here, not from WhatsApp. I hope you can see. This is not a WhatsApp. This is MCA data. I'm bringing out
No, sir,
where
sir,
there's
it's
hesitation.
very
I'm also
no,
telling you.
I'm sorry, you're not aware of the corporate affairs system.
और मनीष जी, we've already taken you to
आपके
court.
नेता हवाला स्कैम करते रहे, आपको ये WhatsApp है. वो उनकी कंपनी में पैसा आया कलकत्ता की कंपनी से, उनकी कंपनी में पैसा आया कोलकाता की कंपनी से. वो डिनाई कर रहे हैं कि इस बात को, आप डिनाई करते हैं इस बात को. I'll give you proof.
About inflation. Why can't you talk about Kashmiri Pandits? Why can't you talk about the rising inflation, rising candidates, automobile industry? Why can't you talk about that?
अरे आप अच्छा चलिए, मैं कश्मीरी पंडित की बात करता हूँ. आपके नेता हनुमान दत्त है, आपके नेता हनुमान दत्त कहते हैं अपने को, हनुमान दत्त कहते हैं ना. हनुमान जी शिव जी के 11वें अवतार थे, रुद्र अवतार थे. अभी किसी प्रोफेसर ने कहा कि शिवजी की हत्या कर दी, शिवजी की हत्या कर दी. आपके नेता ने कोई जवाब दिया? आपके नेता ने एक बयान दिया? अगर आपने डाइवर्ट करने तो मैं बताऊँ सब्जेक्ट पे आइए.
All right, because this is almost like an endless debate which will be continuing for the next few weeks and months also between Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP. So let this continue off this studio as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Priyanka and RP Singh. We are slipping into a short break. After that, we'll get you details of what clearly has been a major victory for actor Johnny Depp.